Welcome and thank you for joining me for a demonstration of PartsWatch Purchasing Scan Receive process. PartsWatch has the ability to receive merchandise into stock either completely as a whole purchase order, completely as a whole ASN, or individually looking at parts on a purchase order or on an ASN. PartsWatch has the ability to support devices, including a small handheld scanner that can be used to scan parts, the UPC barcode on parts, to allow you to quickly and efficiently receive merchandise on your loading docks with a device like this one. I'm going to be using an old symbol LS4000I to scan the barcodes using the PartsWatch Scan Receive process, which is what I'd like to demonstrate for you now. In purchasing PartsWatch, I have several purchase orders in this store. One particularly I'm going to work with today that went out to Federal Mogul, a handful of brake and other products that I need to receive into stock. Now I've received an ASN, actually multiple ASNs, from Federal Mogul for this purchase order. And I have the option, if I want, I can trust Federal Mogul that what they said they sent me on the ASN is in fact what they did send me. Here I have 13 items on a particular ASN that, but I don't know if I trust them. If I don't trust them, what I want to do is individually receive each part and then compare that to what is in the ASN that they sent me. So I'm going to say no here. I don't want to receive this. Instead, I'm going to use the scan receive process. Here in the scan receive function, I have the ability to list all of the orders and ASNs that I could receive against. I can select an existing purchase order and receive merchandise without the use of an ASN, even if the purchase order has ASNs waiting for it. I can select any number of, well, that's not true. I can select only one at a time. Oh, I can only select a purchase order without an ASN if I don't select ASNs. If I select a purchase order with the ASNs, I can select multiple ASNs. That's a protective device to keep you from redundantly or duplicating received information. If I want to just receive by ASNs, it's easier to look for ASNs by clicking the List ASN button. Now I can just look for what I might want to receive from. Or if I don't want to work with an ASN, I can click the List Purchase Orders button and now just select Purchase Orders. So these buttons are a simple way to filter out and select what it is we might be looking for. The search button is quite helpful. If I want to try and find an ASN, I can look for an ASN by just typing some of the letters that are in the bill of lading that I've received. Or I can search for a purchase order. Searching for a purchase order, I can type in some of the numbers that might belong to the purchase order and filter my selection down. Or perhaps I want to look for a part. If I have a part that I know I need to receive, I can try and type in the part number and see if it'll let me know what purchase order or orders or ASNs the part is currently on. Finally, I can look for purchase order or ASNs associated with any given vendor. So the search feature is quite helpful. If you're not really sure what it is that you're looking for, you need to search for it. In Progress button here will show me scan receive sessions that are currently in progress by other users. I don't have anybody right now doing any scan receiving, but if I did, they would show up there. I can start a scan receive session and then maybe take a break for lunch and then come back and pick up where I left off. If I do that, the scan receive session with the list of parts is considered incomplete. I could click incomplete and pick up where I left off, and I will demonstrate that shortly. Or I can find anyone that has been marked completed. That is, I've received all of the merchandise, I've scanned everything, and I'm ready to consider receiving into stock, in which case I could list them here. I will demonstrate that. So I have a bill of lading here that tells me that the ASN that I'm looking for, it's right here, 26963.0. So I'm going to begin scan receiving this one. I'm just going to pick the one to make it simple. I could have picked multiple ones if I was working on multiple pallets at the receiving dock. I'm going to keep my life simple, just receive this one. So I pick up the first part, and I can scan the barcode using the handheld scanner that I showed you earlier. PartsWatch picks up the barcode, looks up the part, recognizes it, and indicates that I have received one in stock. If I scan the same part or another part with the same barcode, PartsWatch picks that up and detects and realizes that I've now received two of them. So I can continue my receiving. And parts, as you can see, I can quickly and efficiently scan and receive these parts into stock. Now look what happens if I scan a barcode that PartsWatch does not recognize. PartsWatch will let me know that it did not find that barcode and will ask me, would you like to add it to your UPC database? I answer yes. I have the ability here to add this part. I'm looking at the carton, and I know it belongs to this line code. I can see the part number right on it is an EX1279D as in David. Simply entering through here adds that UPC. I can close this screen now, picking up where I left off, scan that barcode again, and voila, it's added to my receiving session. Now I happen to know that I have quite a few of these. Now, it's time for me to take a break for lunch, so I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to tell the application I need to take a break for lunch by clicking the Done button. It's asking me if the scan received quantity is complete. If I say cancel, it leaves me right where I am. If I say no, then I'm telling it that I'm going to continue later on. Now, if I click the incomplete, this shows up. This is my scan receive session with the parts that I have in place. You can see when I click complete, nothing shows up here. So let me pick up where I left off. I select this and tell it that's the one I want to work with. All the parts that I've scanned so far are shown up. I can continue where I left off. Now I'm finished. This is everything on the small pallet that I've received from the truck and the receiving dock. I'll click Done again. Now I'm going to tell it, yes, I am finished. And now I'm going to be given another prompt. This is asking me, you've finished receiving the parts that you said you received, potentially the pallet that came in on the truck. Is this complete all of the parts that are indicated on the bill of lading for the ASN? Now, if I answer no here, what this essentially it allows me to do, it allows me to receive some of the merchandise into stock and yet still leave the ASN open to be received later. So I'm going to say no here. And that allows that ASN to remain. I can continue to receive from it later. Now, if I look in the incomplete, this doesn't show up because I said earlier that I was complete. If I click on the complete button here, I can look at this, pick this up again, and actually pick up where I left off if I needed to add more to it. If I felt, geez, I think I've made a mess here and I want to start all over again, I can click the delete button and it'll delete it completely. Or I can print or preview. Preview is going to ask me to close this and off. I'm going to say yes. Same as I did before. Now I can select this and I can preview a receiving report. Now this is an approximate report of about what I'm receiving. This is the received quantities of what I have scanned, and these are the details on the purchase order. So I can see I have parts with order quantities which much higher inbound quantities than what I have scanned. That's an indication to me that there's probably more coming potentially on another truck. When I'm ready, I can receive this purchase order into stock using the merchandise that I've scanned so far. And again, I can get a report that will print. This is going to a printer. And that purchase order has been completely received into stock. I say completely received. The merchandise that I scanned has been received into stock, and the purchase order has gone on back order. I can close this to demonstrate that. Here is my purchase order. It is on back order. It's been received into stock twice already, and is still an ASN status. It's an ASN status because there are still other ASNs associated with that purchase order, which I can see here. Here is my purchase order. And there are two ASNs. This is the ASN that I was working on before, and I can pick up and begin to scan and receive again. using this application. I can find my ASN. I'm looking at the bill of lading. Allowed me to select this ASN. Now, in this demonstration case, the ASN number happens to be similar to the purchase order number. That's probably not a real-life use case. Hopefully, whatever number is displayed here, it will also come on your bill of lading and be clearly indicating what it is you need to do, what you need to pick up. Now, again, I can receive more merchandise and so forth. I can tell it that I'm complete, so I can say yes. Now, if I say yes here, that's going to complete this ASN. The next time I receive this purchase order with this ASN, any balance on that ASN that is inbound that hasn't been scanned for received will be considered short, and I can print a report that will indicate that, so I can contact my vendor and say, hey, you missed sending me these parts. Of course, please don't bill me. Now, if I'm not happy with what I've been working on, I can delete it, which I will try to demonstrate that for you here. I have incomplete. Whoop. Pick up my completed process. Pick up where I left off. And I'm going to mark this to delete. And this allows me to just eliminate all of this and start over again. So to summarize again, I can list all of the ASNs and orders. I can list just the ASNs. I can list just the orders. And there's nothing wrong with scanning and receiving purchase order. Here's what will happen if I try a part that's not found. So I scanned a part, the part we worked on before, but that's not on this purchase order and there's no ASN associated with it. So right now the application is asking me, what do I want to do? I can add the part to the purchase order or cancel and assume maybe I've scanned that part erroneously. Once, of course, I've completed all my scanning, I can use these buttons here to either delete, print, or receive the purchase order into stock and be on my way. This concludes my demonstration for Scan, Receive, and Parts Watch. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you in the next demonstration.